Hello, everyone. This is Renee Rentmeester. I'm the creator and executive producer of the Cooking Without Looking TV show and podcast. And today we have someone extra special. We have Aryianna Wyatt. Aryianna, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Hey, tell us, everyone on the show and the podcast are either blind or visually impaired. Tell us a little bit about your life.
Yeah.
40 seconds. No, I'm just teasing.
Well, let's see, 7 years ago. No, so I am completely blind. I actually lost my sight when I was a baby, due to cancer. And I am originally from my native state of Pennsylvania, but I currently reside in Colorado. And let's see. Oh, I don't know. There's a lot. I'm the
Well,
youngest.
what kind of schools were you in? A regular school, or what kind of school did you go to?
Kind of both, off and on while I was growing up. I did attend public school for a little bit, but a majority of my education was received at the deaf and blind school down here.
In Colorado?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Well, tell us a little bit about some of the things that happened to you in school.
Ooh.
Something that stands out to you, and it doesn't have to be traumatic. It can be funny. It can be whatever.
I will say that my friends and I have definitely had a lot of fun. There was this one particular night. So the deaf and blind school in Colorado Springs, they allow students to stay there during the weeks and then they go home on the weekends. And that's typically because the students live in Denver and other parts of Colorado. So this one particular night, my friends and I don't know what on earth we were doing, but we all had those, you remember those sweatpants, with I think it was the cargo pants, and they make that little swish, 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 swish when you walk.
Right. When you
Yeah,
walk.
so we were all wearing a pair of those swishy pants. We called them swishy pants, but we all had a pair on and we were all wearing socks. And in the atrium of our dormitory, we would just run up and down the hall, and we would just at the very last moment just drop to our knees and try to see how far we could slide. It was fun.
Did that frighten any of the adults around there?
Probably. I mean, there's a lot of things that we did that the teachers didn't like. That was probably one of them. We would also have our moments where, I'm really into jousting. I think jousting is really cool.
Wow, I didn't know people still did that.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I think it's more so fencing now, just because you're not on a horse or anything like that. But my friends and I would fight with our canes a lot as well. And then, that definitely,
that's funny.
Our teachers definitely did not like that. They were like, don't do that.
Jousting with your white cane.
Yeah.
Well, and then we were just talking before we started recording. You talked about all the different types of courses you've gone through. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I went to the University of Colorado in Colorado Springs, and it honestly took me forever to complete my degree. For one, it was because I was bouncing around from all different kinds of disciplinaries. I could not figure out what I wanted to do. I started out as a Spanish major, failed that, but I passed Arabic and Mandarin with flying colors.
Go figure.
So I did that for a little bit, and then I was a women's and ethnic studies major, and then visual and performing arts and theater. That's the same thing. Communications, counseling, psychology. I just bounced around a lot. And then when the pandemic hit, I was actually supposed to graduate in 2020, but the pandemic hit and, everything was shut down. So I couldn't go on campus to study. And where I lived at the time, we had a study lounge right there on the property, but again, everything was shut down. So I couldn't leave my house. So it made it difficult for me to study. And then when they um, sent out the email that graduation was canceled, that
Oh,
really just destroyed me because I was so ready. My partner was supposed to fly out, my mom and her partner, my grandparents. Like I had people flying in from all around the country just for that particular day. And it was just, my world just
oh.
turned upside down. But I did eventually graduate. I graduated last year with a degree in interdisciplinary studies. And I'm
And what is
special.
that comprised of?
That is a multiple, it's a layer of multiple disciplines put together. It allows you to build your degree yourself. I once had a communications professor, and I went to her after class and I was just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what my degree should be in. And she gave me this very wise piece of advice. She says, let your degree find you. So
Ah,
eventually I just stopped trying to look for something specific. And when I discovered that it was a fairly new program that the university had implemented, and when I found that they were offering this, I was like, oh, okay, well, interdisciplinary studies, that will allow me more flexibility with what I want to do later in life. So that's basically what it is.
oh, that's cool. So is it like the arts and history or what is it like a combination of?
Yeah. So let's just say, okay, I'm going to use myself for example. So I want to be in the mental health field, right? So if I look at all the courses that I've taken, right? So languages, right? I've studied Spanish and Arabic and Mandarin. So I can work with someone who, is still learning English.
Mhm.
Or, since I was a women's and ethnic studies major, I've learned a lot about marginalized groups. So if someone who is in a shelter because they're going through a domestic violence kind of situation, I can work with them. In order field, you not only need psychology, but you also need strong communication skills. It's not just about me sitting here looking you in the face and saying words. It goes beyond that. So there's, all the different types of communication courses that there are, like interpersonal, intercultural. I took those and just layering those all together and be like, well, I need, these particular disciplines will help me within the field of mental health because I can work with genuinely any group of people that
And
I want to work with.
how did you choose mental health?
Um, I've always had a passion to help other people. Um, and growing up, I would always offer advice to people, and everyone, my friends would be like, yeah, you should be a counselor. You'd be really good at it. I'm like, no, I don't want to. I kept trying to dismiss that for a while. It's not what I want to do. It turns out it is. Um, I also, you know, I went through my own fair share of dealing with post-traumatic stress and depression. And it got to the point where I realized that if I was going to complete college or to do anything, I couldn't do it by myself. So I decided to get counseling for myself, and I found it to be very helpful. And I think it's important. We have a negative stigmatization around mental health,
Yes, we do.
and we definitely need to change that conversation because it's not a bad thing. It's not a sign of weakness if you decide to seek help for yourself or for somebody else that you care about. We don't talk about this. We don't. And when someone is seriously, they're sitting here telling you, I'm not okay. Oh, you'll be all right. No, don't stop saying that. That's not the kind of help that your friend or loved one needs. That's not what they need to hear. And I got that a lot growing up.
So you have
So
like a master's in personal experience.
yes, and it's, you know, I just want to be able to help people. And I think being in the mental health field is one way to do that. It's one way to make a change for the better, especially for future slash younger generations that are coming behind us.
And yes, you get to the root of the problem. You
Hmm.
get, for people, it's usually mental health. It's like our mental health isn't separated from our body. It's within us.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason is this, um, I'm going to guess that, the older generations have grown up with this idea of, oh, well, you're not okay. Well, figure it out. And then you just sweep it under the rug and you're supposed to act like everything's okay. And it's like, okay, cool. That's great that you have the tenacity to do that, but you're not a robot. You're a human being with actual feelings and actual emotions. It is okay to feel.
That's right. It's like, I know when I was growing up, we were told, just like if you fall down, just, like walk it off, walk it off. And that's basically what people tell people when they have mental illness. I just recently, over the weekend, found out a friend of mine took her life after trying many times, and a couple people caught her a couple times, but I guess she was left alone. And I found that out over the weekend, and it's just so sad because the people that I've known in my life who taken their lives were just like some of the nicest, kindest, fun people you could ever imagine, and just maybe like, and sensitive and caring, and then you find out this, you know.
Yeah, I had that almost recently. Last year I had a roommate who was going through the exact same thing, and um it basically got to the point where, she was planning on taking her life that night. And I took her to the hospital. I was like, bro, I understand. It's scary. I was terrified too when I first started seeking therapy. I didn't want to, because the way that I saw it at the time, as a lot of people do when it is first suggested to them, and when they're to a complete stranger. Okay, you are talking to a complete stranger who is professionally trained to sit here and listen to you and help you sort through your issues, regardless of what they are. But that is terrifying. Okay, it's easier to talk to someone that you know, as opposed
Right.
to sitting here talking to a stranger and be like, well, here's what's on my plate. Here you go. You know,
Let me
it's
just dump
scary.
this on you.
Yeah, and so, I told her, I said, I know it's scary, and it's going to be, and you're going to have, some days are going to be good and some days are going to be rough. But I was like, you have to at least try. And she's doing well now. She's doing a lot better, and I'm glad that I was able to help her
You saved your life.
and be there for her, because that's what friends do, you know.
Exactly, exactly. Well, tell us, are you a big cook? Are you a baker? What do you like to do?
I love cooking. I love baking. I like grilling. It involves food. I love to eat. I
Well, how did you get into it? Was it just something you've always loved?
um I think I was in the 4th grade. Um yeah, I think I was in the 4th grade when I actually started learning. Um it used to be a thing, believe it or not, of home economics or daily living skills, however way you choose to look at it. It's the same thing.
Right,
But
right.
believe it or not, that used to be a class and kids had to take it. And I miss those days. It was a lot of fun. I believe we had learned how to iron and how to peel oranges. And that's when I was like, okay, food's cool. And then I want to say maybe when I got into middle school is when I started learning how to cook a little bit more. Because my during supervisors would have us sit down and pick out what we want. And, they would let the cafeteria know, hey, we're not going to be at dinner that night, but we would like the ingredients so that we can make dinner. And then they would have us cook. And then I think I had just turned 13 when this happened. I got involved with the National Federation of the Blind when I was in the 7th grade. And they had someone come down and talk about one of their training centers up in Littleton. And they're like, yeah, you guys will stay here with a summer counselor for a few weeks and you get to do all kinds of stuff. I don't remember what he said because I tuned him out because he was like, yeah, it's 3 weeks with no parents. I was like, yeah, absolutely.
You had me at no parents.
No parents. So I was like, okay. So I signed up for it and I was there for about 3 weeks. And after that, I just fell in love with cooking. I think cooking it's like art. You know how when you're in art class as a kid, and even if you decide to go and pursue a degree in art, right? When you're sitting there with a paintbrush or a crayon or any tool of your choosing, right? You're sitting there thinking about, okay, what do I want to draw? What colors do I want to use? Well, it's kind of the same a little bit when it comes to cooking because it's like, okay, I want to make chicken carbonara. That would, what seasonings can I use? What spices? Okay, me personally, I like to use steak seasoning. I think it tastes fantastic on chicken. I also love lemon pepper.
Oh my
Like
God, lemon pepper. I
lemon
just
pepper
discovered
is the
lemon
bomb.
pepper like a couple of years ago. I went my whole life. I'm like, how did I go my whole life without lemon pepper?
I love lemon pepper. My mom actually introduced it to me when I was a junior in high school because she would do baked chicken and she
Oh,
always used lemon pepper and it
yes,
was amazing. Um,
well, it is.
so it's kind of similar to that. It's just like art. I love baking. I like getting my hands dirty. As gross as it is, it's also a lot of fun. Also, I kind of have a sweet tooth. So muffins, cake, cookies, things like that, I enjoy making. So I'll do it all.
So like for the cooking, normally we don't have to use recipes. Do you use a recipe or you're just like, you're the artiste and you're going through it yourself?
I do a little bit of both. I do look at recipes like just recently actually, my partner and I were wanting shepherd's pie and I was like, well, I don't know how to make that. So I looked up a recipe and they're like, you need this, and you also need frozen mixed vegetables. And I was like, no,
No.
no, I am not doing that. So thankfully we had bought some fresh veggies. So I, sliced and peeled carrots and I used fresh green beans and corn instead of peas because none of us like peas. None of us like peas at all. Let's be honest about that fact right here, right now. None of us like peas, okay? It's just as bad as dealing with lima beans. Like none of us
Oh,
like that.
yeah. Lima beans, a wasted vegetable in my estimation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, tell us a little bit about the recipe. You were a recipe of the day yesterday, and people can go to our website, www.cookingwithoutlookingtv.wordpress.com, and they can find your recipe. Just tell us a little bit about your recipe.
Yeah. So it's chicken Alfredo, and it happens to be one of my favorite dishes. And well, like I said, the recipe that I found for the Alfredo sauce, I made it from scratch. And I found that on allrecipes.com.
That's
That's
my favorite one. That's my favorite
right.
go-to.
That is my main go-to if I want to learn how to make something.
Yep.
Um,
They're usually easy, straightforward, and delicious.
yeah, I love it a lot. So um depending on the person, if you'd rather buy the Alfredo sauce from the store, you need to get the Ragu brand. Um, I think it's better than the other brands that they've got out there for Alfredo sauce. Um, but yeah, you just get 2 large chicken breasts and you cut them up into bite-sized pieces. I prefer to use olive oil than vegetable oil because I think it's healthier. And you only need about 2 tablespoons. You really don't need a lot when it comes to, cooking. And you can do the pasta of your choice. I personally prefer the rotini, just because that's my favorite pasta. And plus, in addition to that, I like to put vegetables in mine. I'll do broccoli, spinach. Sometimes I'll do bacon, but just kind of depends on my
Hey,
mood.
bacon's not a vegetable.
It is not a vegetable. It is not a vegetable, but it works fantastic
I liked
with
how you just slid
Alfredo.
into that broccoli, spinach, bacon.
Sometimes I'll add mushrooms as well. Um, just kind of depends on what I'm feeling. Majority of the time though, I do stick to just broccoli and spinach. Um, and then, like you said, I use some garlic salt, just a little bit. I use regular garlic as well to give the chicken some flavor. Um, and a little bit of steak seasoning, and like I said, lemon pepper. You guys need to get the McCormick brand because that is the best kind of lemon pepper out there.
Oh, it's great.
And you just season the chicken up to your liking and you mix everything together and there you go.
It's all there. Yeah. And again, we cannot, Ariana and I cannot stress this enough. Run out now and get some lemon pepper. You will not regret it.
Get lemon pepper or get sued. There is one ingredient that I accidentally left out of the recipe. You guys absolutely must, if you're going to make the Alfredo sauce from scratch, you must put some freshly chopped parsley in there.
Oh, yes. And a little lemon.
Absolutely. Because that'll really bring out it makes the Alfredo sauce nice and it gives it a little bit of sass. Like
That's right. I like that.
so part of my heritage, I'm part Caribbean actually. So sass is a huge personality trait that I have. Um, so when you add parsley and a little bit of, you can even add like a teeny bit of lemon juice if you really wanted to. You don't need that much, but it gives it
Just
that
a squirt.
pop.
Yeah,
Yeah, it gives
exactly.
it that pop, that sizzle that it needs. So absolutely.
I know. Well, what's one of your favorite baking recipes? Do you have anything that, and you don't have to give the whole recipe, but what do you like? Like brownies? What's your favorite or something special you make?
So I'm pretty big on bundt cakes. Are you familiar with those?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
I
amazing.
I love bundt cakes, and oh, I didn't make the recipe. Um, Here's a Kentucky butter cake, and it's really, really good. I can't remember what I did. I'm gonna have to go back and look. I can't remember exactly what I did. But cake is my go-to. I am a cake fanatic. I have an addiction to it, which is why I can't eat it. Um, So I can't bake cake like I used to, because I will literally sit there and eat the whole thing.
Right after you bake it.
Pretty much. I love cake as long as it doesn't have frosting. If I'm going,
Wait, no frosting,
I do not
Aryianna.
like frosting. I do not like frosting. I will do buttercream or cream cheese frosting, but that's about as far as it gets. I do not like frosting. So half the time I prefer to make my own cake. If I do buy it from the store, it depends. If it's a cupcake, I'll take the paper and just wipe the frosting off. Or if it's a
Oh my
regular slice of cake,
gosh.
I will just flip it
No,
upside down and I will
no.
just eat the cake part because it's frosting is too sweet for me. And my whole thing is, if you're gonna put frosting on a cake, fine. Like, I have no problem with that, but don't put 10 pounds of frosting on a cake. That's my problem. It's always way more frosting than cake. And it's like,
Well, I got you. I have some friends like that. You know, I try and sit next to them at parties so that I can have their frosting. So,
well, feel free to take all of mine. I don't. Mm-mm.
well, Aryianna, if people want to reach out to you, how do they contact you?
I'm available with email, which is Aryianna, Aryianna Wyatt at gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram. Um, 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 my name on Facebook is different, just because I haven't updated it yet. But yes, absolutely. Email, you can message me through Instagram, you can message me through Facebook. And that's about all as far as social media platforms go for me. 'Cause I don't really care for social media that much.
Yeah, it gets a little toxic. Well, do you have any parting thoughts for people?
Being so mean. Like, we're all just we're all we're all be happy. Be happy.
That's a good one. And thank you, Aryianna, for helping us change the way we see blindness. We've been with Aryianna Wyatt today on the Cooking Without Looking podcast. Please reach out to us on our website, www.cookingwithoutlookingtv.wordpress.com, or just Google Cooking Without Looking. We have our TV show and our YouTube channel, and anytime you want to listen to the podcast, it's available anywhere you get your podcast, and it's also on Alexa enabled devices. So again, thank you so much. I really love talking to you, Aryianna.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Of course. You take care. Have a great day.
You too.